and sell them at a profit. It sounds so simple, but one savvy shopper turned that straightforward idea into big business, and he says you can too. Buy low, sell high. And with that idea started a part-time job that he says now generates almost $4 million in revenue. Found sale items in Walmart, Target, Toys R Us, then used the Amazon seller app to compare them to online prices.
I sold my first item at the age of 7, and me and my sister April, we actually went to the Sam's Club and we bought some items. We bought hot dogs, we got chips, we had soda, we had candy to sell in our neighborhood. I remember being so excited just holding like all of the money, the proceeds that we got from those sales in my hand. I quickly learned the value of $1, and just to be honest with you, it quickly became a bit of an obsession for me. As an adult, I started selling cell phones on eBay. In 2001, man, it was so easy. You had an item, you listed it, and someone bought it. You packaged it up, you sent it out, and there was no big deal. Looking back, I don't even remember looking at like data and seeing if I was profitable or looking at profit loss statements. It was just, I was having fun. I was selling my items. I was making money. I started dabbling in drop shipping to China, and that's kind of where my business took a little bit of a shift. And I actually started selling on Amazon. On July 3rd, 2016, I uploaded my very first YouTube video talking about reselling. I had learned so much about selling stuff on eBay. I actually started sending items to Amazon, and Amazon was actually filling them for me. I had no idea that this video would blow up, and it literally took me to a different level because I actually was excited about the prospect of being a full-time YouTuber. But what it showed me was that a lot of people really wanted information about starting their own business and becoming a reseller. In January 2020, me and April actually started ramping up our eBay business and also our pallet jacking page.
Tonight, U.S. cases of coronavirus more than doubling, with 2 new cases in Southern California and 1 in Maricopa County, Arizona.
And as the market's reaction to the outbreak causes concern for many of us overseas, the situation there is already very serious. More countries in Europe have confirmed cases, most of those patients having traveled to Italy, where the number of confirmed cases there is now 322, with at least 10 people killed by the virus.
One of the craziest things about when the virus hit is that our business actually flourished a lot. And a lot of it is because more and more people were shopping online. People wasn't going out to stores. They weren't going to the Walmarts and to the Best Buys and ordering or picking up items. They was actually going online to eBay and Amazon, and they was actually buying items online. So because our business was like a 100% online business, because we had to shut down our store. Our store was literally shut down for about 6 months. We did not allow anybody in the store. We shut down all of our Facebook Marketplace pickups because we didn't know what was going to happen with this virus.
A lot of people feel like reselling is dead. And my opinion on it is, if you look up the true definition of dead, one portion of it is the lack of interest. Is a lack of interest there? Absolutely not. There's tons of interest in reselling. And I think that's why a lot of people feel like it's dead, because the profit margins they're used to aren't there anymore. You have to search a little bit harder to find better deals. People on the different marketplaces are hip to the game. So you're not able to walk in and get something for $1 and sell it for $800 like you used to. So it puts a cloud over reselling for the true resellers that is dead, and that's far from the truth. It's more alive now than it's ever been with the different platforms. More and more resellers are popping up out of the shadows wanting to do the same thing that you do. So you have to be a little bit more savvy. You got to believe in your skill set. You got to believe in your negotiating ability. And you got to tap in on your resources. And once you get all that back in line, you just got to work a little bit harder than them so you can keep making your sales. So is reselling dead? No, it's alive and well.
Okay, what was the first item you ever sold on eBay?
Probably the silicone watches from Alibaba.
This is the ultimate question. Do you think reselling is dead?
No.
What do you think about the current state of reselling?
I think it's great. Paying right.
So during the time of the virus, it was a very, very weird place when it came to reselling. A lot of people were online buying stuff, but they were also online watching videos. So our channel skyrocketed. We were making so much money from our YouTube channel, and we was making so much money from our eBay store and our Amazon store. You know, it was like, this is crazy how we're making a lot more money in a time when, you know, we're heading towards like a depression. You know, I really like what Derrick said about the interest that is in reselling, because I do think the interest is there. I do also agree that people sometimes look at their personal failures and things that aren't going right necessarily in their business, and they kind of project that onto everybody's business. You know, like, oh, nobody's buying anything anymore. You know, it's reselling is dead. And that's not necessarily the case. Just because, you know, you're failing doesn't mean that other people are failing. You know, you really have to take a step back and look at, you know, your processes and what you're doing, and understand that, you know, maybe there's something to be learned from somebody else. Maybe you need to go onto a different platform. Maybe you need to sell somewhere else. Maybe you need to sell a different type of product. So I really appreciate Derrick giving that insight, because that really rings true.
So I like to be very optimistic. I don't really think reselling is dead. I think, like, if you're passionate about reselling, I think you will find other alternatives to reselling. If you've always sourced from the thrift store, why not try liquidations? Why not try auctions? There's all types of ways of sourcing, and there's so many different platforms that you can list items on now. There's eBay, there's Etsy, there's Amazon, there's Depop, Poshmark. So I'm just gonna say, don't think reselling is dead. There's other ways to source. There's other platforms to list on, and you just got to be creative and be willing to step outside of the box. So that's my opinion.
So after, you know, starting our business and starting to post videos online, and the pandemic, everything kind of started opening back up, we really got to a place of almost complacency. We were making, you know, a set amount of money, and we kind of thought that that was the norm, but that really wasn't the norm. You know, people really didn't want to spend money like that online. They really weren't, you know, that wasn't going to be the new normal, is buying stuff online, even though a lot of the stuff is still kind of in place from that. But essentially, people aren't just strictly going to buy stuff online. People want to go outside. They want to go outside, and they want to go to a shopping mall. They want to go, they want to feel, they want to smell, they want to enjoy the experience of shopping inside of a store. So I asked my friend Lissette to give me her perspective on the current state of reselling and whether or not she thinks that reselling is dead. She said, I've been a reseller for a little over 5 years, full-time for about a year or so. There have definitely been some ups and downs. Over the last 3 years, reselling took a swift turn. The pandemic forced many people to pivot their careers, and a large majority took to reselling in some form or fashion. People that were already reselling went from part-time to full-time in hopes to sustain a living. Reselling is definitely not for the faint of heart. It looks easy until you're depending on it to provide for your family. It takes self-discipline. hours of work with no overtime. Probably the most important thing, health insurance. Currently, as the world has opened back up, I would say from the inside out, reselling is very much alive. It's definitely not for everyone, but for those who are able to pivot with the changing economy, the demand for more practical items, and continued desire to never go back to a traditional 9-to-5 job, it is alive and kicking, and I don't see that changing for the foreseeable future. So moving to this year, 2022, well now in 2023, we definitely felt the gut punch that was the high of online retail. And I'm sure a lot of people have actually felt this because, you know, even though reselling is always going to be around, you know, people have been reselling as long as people have been selling things, you know. So I think, you know, to all the resellers out there that think about, you know, is their reselling business dead, or, you know, their sales are down and they don't understand why. A lot of people started reselling in that period where it was at a high, and that was fake. That was a fallacy. That wasn't real, even though the money was real and the growth was real, but the growth and the money was not sustainable because that was a very temporary condition. I don't believe that reselling is dead, you know, in terms of, you know, nobody's going to be buying stuff online or people's sales are going to be down forever. But I do believe that the people that started their business during this time, when me and April, we started our online reselling business, I think that it's just going to be a change in mindset. Like, you can't think about you know, what you were doing in 2020 and 2021. You really have to think about what you're going to be doing in 2023, 24, 25, and see how you can evolve with the actual selling habits of people. You can't just sit and think that, oh, well, I used to be selling thousands of dollars a month. I used to sell, you know, this many items a month. Well, that was back then, and this is now. Being flexible and being innovative is going to be your friend moving forward. Is reselling dead? No, it's not dead. It will never die. It will never be a thing of the past. It's always going to be people buying things at thrift stores and buying things at yard sales and selling stuff from their closet and getting inheritance or getting items from their parents and selling those online. People are going to always do that. So reselling itself is not dead, but I do believe that people that are in the reselling industry need to understand that, you know, we had a new normal, but that new normal, it's evolving into a new normal. And while that does include increased online sales, because obviously we're in the age of the internet right now, you know, who knows what it's going to be like in 10 years? Who knows what's going to be like in 5 years, especially with the introduction of AI and a lot of people doing live sales. You know, there's a lot of stuff that we are doing now that we weren't doing back then. Even when we talk about 2 or 3 years ago, you know, not even like 10 years ago, we're actually talking about just a couple of years ago. You know, we're doing a lot of stuff differently, and people have to realize that just because there's a lot of stuff changing and a lot of people are doing different things, you really have to understand where your place is in that marketplace. Are you a live seller? Are you a person that likes to sell on eBay? eBay is evolving. eBay is changing. Amazon is evolving. Amazon is changing. So you really have to change with those things if you want to be successful. You know, I made this video because we choose our own paths. And even when our business is facing adversity, we have to keep going. We have to evolve. Your business is as alive or as dead as you make it. If your business is struggling, it's up to you to find and fix those issues. Nobody's coming. Nobody's going to come help you. Nobody's going to pull your business out of the hole. It's up to you. You have to make the choice. You have to find the answers. You have to implement the changes. Ultimately, the truth is that the future is us. Thanks for watching.